All right, it's about 6:30. We can go ahead and get started. Deputy Clerk Schulteis, would you read the preamble for us, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. In accordance with the applicable statutes of the State of Illinois and the ordinances of the City of Prospect Heights, notice is hereby given that the City Council regular meeting of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Prospect Heights is being held on Monday, August 22nd, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. In person in the Council Chambers, Prospect Heights City Hall, 8 North Elmhurst Road, Prospect Heights, Illinois, and simulcast for viewing on Zoom. Acting Mayor Matthew Dolick presiding. This meeting will be broadcast live on the following cable channels: Comcast and WOW Channel 17 and AT&T U-verse Channel 99. It will also be recorded and televised on Comcast and WOW Channel 17 and AT&T U-verse Channel 99. Attendees who wish to speak on agenda or non-agenda items will be provided an opportunity during the meeting. There is a 5-minute time limit for speakers.
All right, thank you. I would, at this time, like to call to order the regular City Council meeting at 6:32 p.m. on Monday, August 22nd, 2022 at, just after 6:30 p.m. At the City Council Chambers at 8 North Elmhurst Road. I believe our city clerk is not able to be with us this evening, and she did give prior notice. So once again, Deputy Clerk Schulteis, would you take a roll call to establish a quorum, please?
Thank you. Alderman Ward 1, Michelle Cameron.
Here.
Alderman Ward 2, Pat Lovickson.
Here.
Alderman Ward 3, Wendy Morgan Adams.
Here.
Alderman Ward 4, Danielle Dash.
Here.
Acting Mayor Alderman Ward 5, Matt Dolick.
Here.
City Treasurer Rich Tibbetts.
Thank you. We do have a quorum. At this time, would everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? All right, thank you, everyone. The first item is the approval of minutes from the July 25th, 2022 City Council regular meeting minutes. If I could have a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any corrections? There being none, could I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Cameron.
Aye.
Alderman Lovickson.
Aye.
Alderman Morgan Adams.
Abstain.
Alderman Dash.
Aye.
Alderman Dolick.
Aye.
And Mayor.
Motion passes 4-0 with one abstention. Next, we have presentations. With us this evening, we have Director Jim Kiefer from the Chicago Executive Airport with their monthly update.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, City staff. Thank you once again for invitation to appear on behalf of CEA. Monthly budget is available on our monthly meeting package, but it is great to say again, the third month, revenues are up 8% and expenses are 35% under budget. Always good news. Major projects going on at the airport. We just purchased a new snow broom, and the bad news, it won't be here for 13 to 14 months, so it won't be used this winter. New card access and security upgrade. We've been fortunate enough to sign a good company, and they're going to install cameras and card access in the coming months. Runway repairs are ongoing and marking this season. That's going according to plan. We just signed RS&H Incorporated out of Chicago for an environmental impact assessment, Part 150, because for the closure of runway 624. In tandem to that, we also signed them for the noise exposure map. It's due every 5 years, and it needs to be done in conjunction with the environmental impact. We tried to do airfield lighting project this season, but due to parts availability, it got pushed back to the spring. We have an RSIP meeting on September 7th, Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the admin building at the airport. We also have the joint meeting for all of you and all of us on September 21st, 7 p.m. at the Westin on Milwaukee Avenue. Starts at 7. On a personal note, Executive Secretary Jennifer Pfeiffer, who's been with us 6 years, is fortunate to get a better position at one of our FBOs. She'll be leaving within a couple of weeks. We wish her the best. She's been the rock, steady rock for many years. Any comments, questions, or concerns for me?
When do you anticipate runway 624 to close?
It's a very long process. It'll take years, but this is the first step towards it.
Okay.
Nothing happens overnight with the FAA, and they're understaffed also, and IDOT is also understaffed. So we're fortunate enough to have a new director. He's been there 6 months, and he's doing a fabulous job, and he knows who to see, when to see. So we're looking forward to that. But it's not going to happen for a while.
Thank you.
I'll probably be retired. Anything else?
Any other questions?
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Okay,
Kiefer.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have our Finance Department with a report on the city gas tax presentation. Mr. Tannehill?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and City Council members. I looked into the possibility of imposing a city gas tax. Just a little background, the state of Illinois had recently allowed non-home rule communities in Cook County to impose a municipal motor fuel tax. This tax may be imposed by non-home rule municipalities on sales of motor fuel at a retail within the municipality for operation of motor vehicles upon a public highway. If initiated, the tax must be imposed municipality-wide. It cannot be imposed only in portion of the municipality. Why we're looking at it now is that by October 1st, we need to come up with a decision, I guess, on imposing this type of tax if you want to implement it coming up for next year, January 1st. The municipality of Cook County can impose a tax not to exceed 3 cents per gallon. The tax must be imposed at 1 cent increments up to 3 cents. I've spoken to a couple of colleagues of ours through our Lauerback and Amon side who also work at municipalities that have a gas tax imposed at their municipality. And one of them has told me that they have one 2% fuel tax in place. They have 8 gas stations within that municipality. So what I did is I broke it down to the size. Their size of their town is about 2.25 larger in population size than ours. Kind of broke it down to what we have here in Prospect Heights. I know there's 5 local gas stations in Prospect Heights here. So I came up with a best guess estimate of possibility of how many gallons per month that could be sold, and broke it down by 1 cent, 2 cents, 3 cents. Best guess estimates looking at possibility of, if it's a 2% rate, you're looking at about $5 to $6 grand a month that could come in based on the gallons of sold at the 5 different gas stations within the town. Very rough estimates, because we really don't know. Something new for the city. We don't know what exactly could be coming in, but looking at the other municipality, I spoke to the lady there who works in the finance department. They're averaging between 19 and 22,000, but again, it's a larger community. They have 8 gas stations, and they're, so it's hard to, I was trying to break it down based on the size of our population and how much traffic I think goes in and out through the city to come up with a best estimate. Maybe 225 to 300,000 gallons a month between the 5 gas stations could be sold. Again, that's about a 4,500 to 6,000 if we're looking at a 2 cent increase in the gas tax. So,
Okay.
try to answer any questions if I can regarding that.
So we'd be looking at like anywhere from 50 to 75,000 a year annually over that.
Could be, yes, could be.
Does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Tannehill?
I do.
Please, go ahead.
So Have you checked Arlington Heights and Mount Prospect, because they're the closest to us? I mean, are they imposing a tax? Oh, it's on the memo? Okay. Okay, so Arlington Heights has no tax, and Mount Prospect has a 4 cents per gallon tax?
Yes.
Is what you're saying? And Arlington Heights has none. Wheeling has none, because that'd be the other city. I mean, it's an issue. The problem here is, you know, competing. The gas stations competing against each other. We don't want to lose, you know, people coming into our gas station and making purchases. We don't want to lose potential customers. So I think it's a toughie as to whether we want to impose this or not.
And that's up to this, you know, city council to make that decision. It is tough because also we got going on in the world today too, with the gas prices going up and down and putting the tax on there, and people are maybe up in arms about how much gas is costing. But again, it's other communities around. I mean, Mount Prospect has one right now at 4 cents. It may not do the top of 3, maybe try to 1 or 2 cent and see the possibility of what that can bring in.
So, and can we, if we do vote to do this, I mean, we can always vote to change it. It's not a problem, right?
Right.
Any other questions?
And is there a limitation to when it can be done? Is there anything in the statute that says you have to do it before 2025 or something like that?
No, there's nothing.
Window?
No, nothing in the statute about when it has to be done. It's just you have to, if you want to impose it by a certain date, you have to have the ordinance done by a certain date. Kind of like with the cannabis tax, you had to have it done by a certain time period so you can start imposing it. Say you want to do it for January 1st next year, you'd have to have everything ready by October 1st and submit it to the Illinois Department of Revenue so they can start on January 1st collecting and then giving it back to us.
So it's like 60 days, somewhere in there?
6 days to.
60 days in advance you have to vote on?
Well, this would be, if we were to try to get it by October, we're talking less than 60 days to get it together.
I mean, we'd have to have it done by October for January 1st.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
So this would be on a September agenda?
That's what we're asking for tonight, certainly not approval, but if the council wishes to consider it, we would put it on the September agenda, and we would also notify our gas station dealers as well, so that they'd have a process to hear it.
I think it's a really good idea to put on the September agenda, notify the gas stations, let them come in and give us their input or at least provide their input. But I'm thinking maybe we're looking at maybe 1 cent a gallon to start. I agree with start conservative, right?
I don't know the direction where council want to go with it. You start maybe in the middle. It can always go down if it's too much of a burden, if someone comes in and makes complains. But I would think maybe start in the middle if we're looking to grab as much as, I can't say the word grab, but try to get as much as you can out of it.
Mr. Mayor, two more quick questions.
Yes,
Is this
go
a
ahead.
January 1st must start then? Does the statute say you have to start it on January 1? You can't start it like with our fiscal year? It's something that has to be imposed to go
It would
January 1?
It would start on January 1. If we have everything ready by October 1st and all submitted by October 1st, this would start January 1st.
Okay, and there's this isn't like an MFT tax where there's a requirement to where it's spent, is it?
No,
Or is this just a pure?
no, it's just
sale?
pure revenue coming into the city.
Thank you.
Were you going to add something, Joe?
Oh, I was just going to answer it, that the deadlines are imposed by the Department of Revenue. It has nothing to do with city budgeting or restrictions or so. And just to underscore, the big part is Bob's calculations are, they're not based on history. So it's other information that he got from other towns, but until we had, if we did move forward with it, we wouldn't really know how much is possible generated from our own experience, because each station has a different volume of sales.
Okay.
So is the downside then that we have 5 gas stations? That those gas station owners are gonna come and say that they're gonna sell less gas? Is that the downside to this, or the impact to our business owners?
That could happen, yeah, they come in and say, you're gonna hurt me, putting that 2 cents on right now with gas being so high, that you're gonna hurt my business, hurt customers coming in to make extra purchases. I was writing an article from Mount Prospect, I think it was several years ago. They had the gas stations attendants come into the council meeting and talk about the potential, how they could be hurt with gas sales and also retail sales. Because most people get gas, get a cup of coffee, grab a candy bar, maybe a donut if they had that in there. And they said that people less likely would stop and get gas there, and then they want to go into the store and buy the extra stuff.
Okay. So other than the gas stations, I mean, anyone else negatively impacted? I mean, they're the business owners, right?
There would be the most
Right.
impacted, correct, yeah.
I'm in favor of it. Again, our residents have told us time and time again that they don't want to be a home rule community. It really puts us in a position where we can't even use certain funds that come to us in certain buckets of money, and so I mean, I'm all for it.
Any other questions before I?
Can we take a poll of the other council members? I mean, I would be willing to consider it. I don't know. I mean, I understand, what you're saying about, going in the middle, but I am concerned also about, the business owners and losing customers and things like that, so I'd like to hear from them as well. But.
Well, isn't tonight just to
Yeah.
put it on the agenda?
Yeah, I was just going to
It's
say.
a poll just to put it on the agenda and whether we want to consider it. I think that's the point.
I would like to, I would recommend putting it on the agenda for consideration.
Okay, that was going to be my question, the direction that we want to go here. And in the meantime, we would get feedback from the gas station owners when they are notified, so that they can present their case as well. Is that the consensus here, that we want to put it on the agenda for further discussion in September?
Yes. Yeah, if there's a way that we could find out, there's no way that we could really tell now. I mean, going to what Alderman Dash had said about residents asking us to get money from outside of town to bring it to our budget. I think gas, I could be wrong, is probably the one tax that where we are really getting outside contributions to our budget. I mean, if it's on a property tax where it's 100% in town, it's not I can't think of any other taxes, or a sticker tax, it's a vehicle sticker where it's 100% in town. The number of people that buy gas at Thornton's that are not live in Prospect Heights is probably, we might account for 20% of that gas sale or something. I don't know the numbers, but, and there's really no way for us to tell, but I'm pretty sure that's how it is.
Well, and do these gas station operators know how many gallons a month they're selling? I mean, I have to assume
Yeah.
they do, right?
Yes.
So maybe when you request them to come and, if they choose to attend, maybe they could provide us with that information, so at least we have.
Well, I would think if they're gonna tell us it's gonna hurt them, they have to be specific. I wouldn't wanna hear just a general comment that, oh, it's gonna hurt me. Tell me.
Yeah, I guess I'm just curious to know how many gallons a month they're selling. I mean, if the city doesn't have that data available to us, I'd just be interested to know.
I agree. Joe, can we make a specific request for that?
We can add that into the communication.
Okay.
Okay, then it is the consensus that we want to put that on the agenda.
Yeah.
With notification, we can get the information out to them, and they can provide information to us for that discussion at the meeting. So other than that, no action is taken tonight, but it'll be on the agenda in September.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tannehill,
Thank you.
for that report. We have no appointments or confirmations this evening. Item 6 is public comments on agenda matters. Deputy Clerk, do we have anyone signed up?
No, Mayor, nobody had signed up.
And do we have anyone here or online that wishes to speak? There being none, we have no consent agenda tonight. We have no old business. We do have new business. The first item, 9A, is actually just, this is a first reading only, so no action is requested tonight. This is staff memo and ordinance for sale of surplus property. Joe, do you want to expand on that?
Sure, this is a routine item. We do this periodically when to create space. It's equipment, primarily office and communications equipment that's obsolete, is no longer of use to the police department, and we're asking for authorization for sale and disposal of this surplus property. But as you mentioned, it's only informational tonight. The second reading will be at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions on that item specifically?
No.
If not, item 9B, the first item here is a request for the waiver of first reading. This is regarding staff memo and ordinance approving certain variations with conditions for the property located at 41 South Wildwood in Prospect Heights. Director Peterson, would you like to give us some more information on this?
Thank you very much, Mayor Dolick and City Council. The residents at 41 South Wildwood, the Worships, are proposing to put on an addition to their primary structure, and to put that additional garage bay, they are seeking a 10-foot encroachment into the 15-foot side yard setback. Both neighbors to the north and to the south testified in support of the request. However, the resident to the south, Mr. and Mrs. Jones at 41 South Wildwood, did ask for some conditions, which the applicant had spoken with the Joneses about previously and agreed to, and those conditions were incorporated. The ZBA recommended approval with a 5-0 vote at their last meeting. So staff would recommend waiver of first reading and approval of the variation.
All right, thank you. Before we open it up to discussion, could I have a motion to approve? And again, this is the waiver of first reading.
So moved. Morgan Adams?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. I'll open it up to discussion at this point, even though this is just the waiver of first reading. Does anyone have any questions for Dan on this item? There being none, can I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Dolick,
Aye.
Alderman Dash,
Aye.
Alderman Morgan Adams,
Aye.
Alderman Lovickson,
Aye.
Alderman Cameron.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Next is the second reading, staff memo and ordinance approving certain variations with conditions for the property located at 41 South Wildwood in Prospect Heights. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Morgan Adams?
Do I have a second?
Second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Again, is there any discussion on this or any questions for Director Peterson?
No.
There being none, could I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Cameron,
Aye.
Alderman Lovickson,
Aye.
Alderman Morgan Adams,
Aye.
Alderman Dash,
Aye.
Mayor Dolick.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item 9D, again, this is a request for waiver of first reading. Staff memo and ordinance approving a special use permit to allow a sit-down restaurant, Lily's Taste, at 17 South Wolf Road in Prospect Heights. And again, Director Peterson, do you have additional information on this?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Dolick and City Council. The applicant, Lyda Mejia, is here tonight with her husband and her realtor, Mr. Nelson, Mr. Sosa. They are proposing to remodel the old vacant Carol's Deli at 17 South Wolf. Ms. Mejia has been a licensed food cart vendor selling tamales in town for a number of years, and is proposing to remodel the vacant space and turn into a sit-down restaurant. The PZBA voted to recommend approval unanimously. The owners of the shopping center did agree to some minor conditions in terms of parking lot patching, striping, and proper handicap signage. Staff would recommend approval for the sit-down restaurant and waiver first reading.
All right, thank you, Dan. Can I first start with a waiver, I'm sorry, a motion for the waiver of first reading?
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. I'll open it up for discussion, and as Dan mentioned, we do have the owners here with us. Does anyone have any questions?
No question, just a comment. I think it's, this application should be put in the binder and framed, and this is exactly how they should be. I mean, I'm impressed by the whole, you did everything. There's nothing when I look at this application to say, well, that's in question, what are you doing there? It's the most complete special use application that I ever saw, so thank you, good job. I know you'll do well. If you put as much work into your work as you did in this application, you're gonna do very well.
Thank you, Pat, for those comments. Anyone else? Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I just have one question. I would agree with Alderman Ludwigson. You've done a great job in your application. It was very complete. Why are you not asking for a liquor license?
Excuse me, Mr. Sosa, you need to come up to the.
Would you come up to the podium for us, please? Thank you. Thank you. Whoever wishes to speak, would you just state your name and address, and then you can answer the Alderman's question.
My name is Eliria Mejia. Ya, soy presidenta de el nuevo proyecto de Lily Estates.
I'm the president of the new project, Lily Estates. Lily Estates is tamales and Mexican.
Okay.
The husband and two children is here.
And you are not applying for a liquor license at this time?
No.
Okay.
So,
Would you mind using the microphone better? You know, get it closer to the mic? Thank you.
So are you serving all kinds of Mexican food or primarily tamales?
all kind of
All kind of.
todo tipo, ¿verdad? Comida,
Sí, de todo tipo.
all kind.
Tamales y
And is there a reason you're not seeking a liquor license at this time?
I didn't get the question.
Is there a reason you're not seeking a liquor license at this time?
Yeah, no, she's not interested in selling that.
Okay.
Liquor is not what their family wants.
Okay.
Fair enough. Any other questions from anyone? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this time, it is just a waiver of first reading. We do have a motion and a second. Could I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Ludwigson,
Aye.
Alderman Cameron,
Aye.
Alderman Dash,
Aye.
Alderman Morgan Adams,
Aye.
Mayor Dolick.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. That brings us to the second reading for approving a special use permit to allow a sit-down restaurant, Lily's Taste, at 17 South Wolf Road in Prospect Heights. Could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any other questions? If not, can I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Dolick,
Aye.
Alderman Morgan Adams,
Aye.
Alderman Ludwigson,
Aye.
Alderman Cameron,
Aye.
Alderman Dash.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Congratulations, and best of luck to you.
Congratulations.
Good luck to you.
Yes, good luck to you.
Thank you for investing in our city.
Yes.
Thank you. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
That brings us to item 9F, staff memo and ordinance approving a special use permit to allow a sit-down restaurant of Ropa Grill at 5 South Wolf Road in Prospect Heights. And again, I'll refer to Director Peterson if you have any additional information on this. This is a first reading only.
Again, thank you, Mayor Dolick, City Council. Yes, the applicant, Stanko Komanovich, is here this evening and represented by his associate, Ms. Branca, and forgive me for your last name. Thank you, Lankar. Mr. Komanovich has been a previous restaurant owner in Prospect Heights Balkan Grill from in the late 2008, 2009 through 2015 approximately, in which he sold the business to that became the Yugo Grill, that then was sold to become Rubens. Mr. Stanko is the leaseholder of the space, and as such has decided to get back in as the owner of the restaurant and open it. He is not asking for a liquor license due to conditions previously experienced, so it's a restaurant only. And that the PZBA did recommend 5-0 to approve the special use as a sit-down restaurant. And they're here should you have any questions.
All right, thank you. This is first reading only, so no action will be taken tonight. But does anyone have any questions? If there are no questions, thank you very much for being here. This is a first reading. It will be on the next agenda in September. So thank you. Item 10, staff and elected official reports. We do have the July financial report presented by Assistant Finance Director Bob Tannehill.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council members. We're about a quarter of the year completed already. Can't believe how fast the year is going so far. All our revenues are in line with budgeted expectations. We are seeing some consistent tax collections from the food and beverage and hotel tax back to the pre-pandemic years. So it's good to see that people are out and about and getting out there and using the hotel and eating at our restaurants. We're about 24%. Our revenues for the general fund is about 24%. Our expenses are at 22%. The busy expenses that came in this first quarter of the year are the Arlington Countryside expenses. We had a couple of bills come in for that brought the expenses up to where we're at. Other than that, we're doing pretty well. Like I said, we're meeting our budget expectations in the revenue department, and again, staff is also monitoring expenses to make sure that they're in line and necessary. So we're doing well.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
Just, is there still any fear of the tax, the income, or the property tax coming in on time? Is that still an issue?
We haven't heard anything, but I think it's going to be coming. It should be coming in on time. We haven't heard anything that stated the contrary that it was like last year, where it was coming in 2 or 3 months late. So,
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you very much, sir, for your report.
Thank you.
Elected officials, Alderman 1, Michelle Cameron.
No report, thank you.
Alderman Pat Lovickson.
No report. Thank you.
Alderman Wendy Morgan Adams.
I just want to thank Joe Wade and Mark Roscoe and Mike Persicki for their assistance with our residents in our 3rd Ward around Maple 83 and Palatine regarding the issues there, and contacting IDOT and working with them. I really appreciate the help and assistance, and I know the residents do as well. So I want to thank you for your help and assistance, and I really appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Alderman Danielle Dash.
No report.
Thank you. The only thing that I wanted to report is I had the pleasure of attending the mayor's breakfast with our U.S. Representative Brad Schneider this past week. And I was very pleased and very impressed. I was expecting to have breakfast and listen to him speak and maybe a few other speakers. It was actually more of a workshop style. They had tables set up in kind of a U-shaped fashion, and it was very interactive. He spoke with every one of us in what issues we find we're experiencing in each of our towns. There were about, I would say, 45 people from municipalities all around northern Cook County as well as Lake County. And I'll just note that one of the most common issues that people are facing is stormwater management. Thanks to Representative Schneider, we got a head start on our Arlington Countryside project, which is nearing completion, but we still have other areas to go. But that was a common theme throughout this. But I really liked the way that the whole morning progressed with the interaction of various city officials as well as Representative Schneider. So that was a real pleasure. And next we have City Treasurer Rich Tibbetts.
I thought I'd give a little bit of a report about our cable channel tonight. Since we have a little bit of extra time, I just wanted to point out, and I've done this before, but not recently, that the cable channel, while it functions all the time, or most of the time actually, we had a power outage over the weekend, so it was down for a short time between Sunday night and Monday today. One of the problems is that the cable channel is forced to be broadcast in standard definition. And if you know what that is, you have to rewind back to like the mid-'80s as to what television looked like across the board. It wasn't what we're used to today. What we're used to today is what they call high definition, which comes in various flavors or various levels of high definition. And of course, now we're even talking about 4K, which is another big leap above what we used to call high definition a few years ago. So we're back, our cable channel is being broadcast at a level of technology that essentially doesn't exist anymore. In almost nowhere can you find standard definition television channels. They do exist on Comcast and WOW, but basically they're reruns of broadcasts from the 50s and 60s. There's not much comparison, really. And that puts not only one hand behind our back, but with the advent of streaming becoming very popular and people tending to migrate away from cable and towards streaming, we are up against the wall as far as competition with normal technology. And so I talked to Comcast, and not WOW, but recently, let's put it this way, since WOW was sold to RCN and RCN was sold to Astound, I actually have a meeting scheduled for next week in which I'm going to talk to them very seriously about changing the route that our station, that our broadcast takes to get to the WOW broadcast facilities. And maybe, with any luck, they'll go along with us and say, yeah, maybe we should upgrade their modulator and, you know, give them a medium high def and digital modulator, which would really, really help us look a whole lot better. Because we are a high definition shop now. We record all of our meetings in standard def, high def rather, and we're able to broadcast them all in high def. We just are crippled by the fact that the cable operators don't want to go along with us and don't want to spend any money to help peg channels. So, we're constantly fighting that battle, but it's become chronic at this point in time. We really need to find a way, especially with Comcast, because, without getting into too much of the minutia, Astound, or RCN and Astound, have a franchise agreement directly with the state of Illinois. So does AT&T. But Comcast has a franchise agreement with us. They have a local franchise agreement. And again, they will not agree. I haven't talked to them in a while about this because our franchise agreement expired about 6 or 7 years ago, and we're just operating under the terms of the old contract. But essentially, it wouldn't cost a whole lot of money for them to upgrade us to become a high-definition broadcasting PEG channel. I think we should even be willing to pay for it if they didn't want to. And at that point, I don't see why they could say no. So it's an easy argument with people that don't understand that we're really crippled. I had a conversation by accident with the mayor of Mount Prospect at the Dollars for Scholars event, and started explaining that to him, that his cable channel was under the gun just like our cable channel. He couldn't believe it. I said, well, talk to Howard in your AV department, he'll explain it to you. It's just unbelievable that in this day and age that we're forced to deal with something like this. But I think now is the time to really get down on it and try to, if not reasonably negotiate some solution to this, then go to the state of Illinois, go to the federal government, and try to get rules passed that will force them to do what is only right in this day and age. And so I'm just trying to bring this to your attention. There's going to be more about this in the future. I think you know that I wound up becoming involved in Illinois NATOA, which is a professional group having to do with the AV operators in the general area, actually technically in the state of Illinois. I'm the treasurer of the group, and I'm the acting president right now because nobody wants to take it on. But after of course, the pandemic had a big influence on membership. But coming out of the pandemic, I didn't want to see the group die on the vine, so I stepped in and have been holding monthly meetings. We're going to have another meeting on Wednesday. And we talk about these things openly and to try to find solutions as best we can. And the most recent thing we did was we wrote letters to Senator Durbin and Duckworth. Because we exist in the state of Illinois, they have the capacity to participate in legislation at the congressional level to perhaps get involved in either passing legislation or influencing the FCC to pass rules that would influence operators like Comcast to take a different view of providing a minimum high definition capability to PEG channels, PEG standing for public, educational, and governmental channels. So again, do you have any questions about any of this stuff? I mean, I know I wasn't on the agenda to speak about this, but I figured I'd take the opportunity right now to talk to you about it.
Are all PEG channels standard definition, or are any of them high definition?
There are some states where PEG channels have successfully negotiated for high definition, but not in Illinois that I'm aware of. I believe that Glenview and I think Naperville and another town, I can't remember which, negotiated a franchise agreement that said that when available, they would be given high definition channels.
But they don't have it.
But they don't have them yet.
And do you have any idea what, when we're talking about, you talked about maybe the city should pay for it. I mean, any idea what it's going to cost?
What the cost might be?
Right.
Well, I'm not really sure because I don't know what they would want to add into that at what they call the head end, where they actually receive the signal and broadcast from there. I don't know what they think that they would have to change equipment-wise at their head end. But locally, we would need a different, what they call a modulator, which receives our signal into the back of the box and then basically sends it over. In Comcast's case, they're still sending it over a coax that goes all the way from our building to their head end office in Mount Prospect.
Yeah.
So the modulator itself, it just can't be more than, I'm going to guess $500, possibly $1,000, but I have never priced it. But I'm saying in that ballpark, it's not $10,000. It's nothing like that. So the biggest cost would be, I mean, using a coax wouldn't be appropriate. You'd have to change that to fiber. So we would have to string fiber from here to the Mount Prospect office and then change the modulator. I mean, altogether, that might be $10,000, but I can't imagine it being that much. I really can't. I've never costed it out, so I don't know for sure what it would cost. But it's something, less than $10,000.
So that's if we had to pay it all ourselves, you're saying?
Pardon me?
That's if we had to pay it all ourselves?
We don't necessarily have to pay it
No,
ourselves.
but that's like an estimated idea of a cost if we had to pay it.
Well, I mean, technically, it's Comcast's responsibility to maintain the coax right now. So they've told me that if I wanted to change that to fiber, we'd have to pay for it. I'm good with paying for half of it. I think if we wanted to help, we could help and make that move along. But really, technically, it's their cable. I mean, we don't own it. So That's why we shouldn't have to maintain it. But there may be other ways of essentially skinning the cat. So there's a lot of things in play as far as trying to make that happen. And I haven't had any really sit-down conversations with Comcast lately, but I'm basically going on what they've told me in the past, and the fact that other municipalities haven't gained any real traction with them. You know, they're negotiating new franchise agreements and stuff with them, and they get stonewalled, essentially, is what happens. So, but we need to get, I mean, one of the reasons for Illinois NATOA is that we can band together and get some horsepower behind what we say to people. You know, just writing a couple of letters to our local senators may not have any effect. I've not heard back from them. But I think if there were enough municipalities that understood the problem and collectively got on that bandwagon and beat the drum, I think it can be done. So that's my position on it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Rich.
All right, thank you, Rich.
You're welcome.
All right, other officials, City Administrator Joe Wade.
No report, thank you.
Thank you. Assistant City Administrator Peter
No
Fasconi.
report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Director Tannehill, I believe you gave your report. I assume you have nothing else. Thank you. Director of Building and Development, Mr. Peterson.
Just one quick update. You should have all received draft city maps this last week. They are not the official maps, as we have not run them through zoning yet and adopted, even though, but they do reflect the actions taken by council. And we will have those back before you in approximately a month for formal action. And then the other thing that goes along with it, we are going to have to do some text amendments coming up here this fall to amend our zoning code to reflect the changes that the de-annexation of the 30 acres along Sanders Road required. So you'll be looking for that here shortly as well. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Is it the only changes to the maps, just for the east side?
We have to look at yes, the map change was significantly the reduction of the Sanders property, the 30 acres. However, with that, we lost our our office 01 zoning. So those uses that were in the 01 have to be looked at to be redistributed through the city, and that's going to take a little bit of work to make sure that we can accommodate those zoning changes. Right now, the plan is to get this in front of the ZBA in September, and then hopefully have back to council either October or November.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, quick question to Joe on the map
Yes, go ahead.
issue. I know the maps are your domain, but are we going to, once we get these new maps, look at, since the new census is done, maybe updating make sure the wards are partitioned properly? I mean, did we do that recently? I know it was talked about a couple of years, maybe 3 years ago, but don't we have to after every census reappropriate the wards? Like, make sure that they're equally balanced, or no?
That's a good question. And I think if there have been more changes, there certainly would be more of an evident need. Other than that, we really haven't had, we've just had incremental changes.
Right.
I'll follow up with the city attorney about that, but.
Okay. Because we went from 12 to 15 to 17, I think we're back down to 16,000.
Yeah.
Some other people, so it
Yeah.
does go up and down. Just curious if there's a requirement that we do that.
We'll follow up on that.
Right, thank you. I had a quick question for Dan Peterson. It appears that the antenna behind the fire department is complete. So is that the final look we're going to see?
We have not been called for a final inspection. However, that is in keeping with the submitted plans and the general design that was approved by council a couple of years ago.
Okay, all right, thank you. Director of Public Works, Mr. Roscoe.
Thank you, sir. Quick report. Arlington Countryside is moving along. The project, all the underground work down Camp McDonald Road is completed. Currently, the underground work on Forest Avenue by the station itself is in progress. We're looking at a mid-end of September completion time for the project. You'll notice along by the school district area, the ground has been leveled. There's some safety fence up, but sod is scheduled for mid next month, looking towards the cooler weathers. So that's, I can't stress enough, it's really coming together over there. It's exciting to see it all coming into play. And on the public works side, as we turn our focus from summer towards fall, last week our crew attended a training seminar in Addison about proper winter maintenance, equipment maintenance, salt usage. So we're already thinking to the next season that no one wants to talk about. But we're making our way there, and with the end of the season, a few guys on vacation and things, we're really getting into our training mode for our upcoming preparation for winter. So that's kind of what's going on over at the public works side of work. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. Police Chief Caponegro.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council members. Last Friday, we ended our very busy summer events with the police department and the city. We were at the Dunkin' Donuts on Milwaukee. We partnered this year for the first time with Wheeling Police, and we collected $2,400 for the Special Olympics. It's kind of intimidating. When I went there, literally all day there was more cops around than people, but we managed to raise money. Hopefully they didn't feel pressured, but we did give free donuts with every donation, so that was great. Last week, our two new police officers, Sophia Teravolis and George Gutierrez, graduated from the academy. They started training last Friday, so it's good to have them. In 12 weeks, we are hoping they will be on their own, which is, we need the manpower, so that's, everything's looking good there. Other than that, I have nothing. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. I too stopped by the Dunkin' Donuts last Friday and made a donation, got a nice T-shirt and some coffee, so it was a good event. Thank you for putting that on. Deputy Clerk Schultheis.
No report, thank you.
Attorney Jim Hess.
Just briefly following up on Director Peterson's comments about the new map. Just a bit of an update. The Village of Glenview, as it relates to the annexation procedure, has finalized all of its agreements as required. They have not provided signed copies. There's some details of the annexation agreement that they're working out with Allstate and Dermody. They expect to have those completed and signed within the next week or so, and then both Glenview's council and our office will coordinate the recordings of the documents. It'll be upon the recordings and the completed document, the final completed documents and the recordings of the disconnection plat and Glenview's recording of their annexation when that procedure will be completed. So we're not quite over the finish line yet, but we are almost there, and Glenview should have those documents for us this week. Then hopefully within the next week or two, we'll have everything recorded and the annexation and disconnection process will be completed.
Thank you, sir. Digital Communications Technician Patrick Colvin.
No report, thank you.
Thank you very much. That brings us to the discussion topics for the September workshop meeting. We do have 2 items on there which should be enough to fill up that meeting. One is the conclusion of the discussion of the City of Prospect Heights quarterly newsletter, as well as the review of the city liquor licenses. If anyone else has anything that they want to add, either on this meeting or in the future, please let me know. As I said, those 2 should occupy much of our time.
Can I add, I think I mentioned this to you, Mayor Dolick, about the dog park issue?
Oh, yes, okay. Just for clarification, you had people request?
Yeah, they were looking to try to have a location where they can have a dog park or have their dogs be able to run and walk.
Okay.
Because they have another
district.
Pardon?
Is that a park district? topic? I mean, do we have
That's a
any-
good question, I don't know.
we have any
Because-
land that we own that we could even build a, I mean, I
Yeah,
don't, I
I
don't.
mean,
uh,
it might be a Park District issue, you're right.
I believe Glenview has one, and it's, I think, through their park district. But perhaps,
Maybe Buffalo Grove, I believe, has one,
I was
too.
going to say perhaps Joe and Director Peterson, if you can look into the code as far as what we can and can't do before we start into this discussion. I don't know if you have any information now, or if you just want to present it.
I've had some experience with them, and I'll work up a report.
Okay,
I had several residents asking me about that.
okay.
Thank you.
But if we have some information, we can certainly discuss that.
And then also, can we also talk again about the, we had talked previously, I mean, but it didn't act on it, regarding the issue of changing the terms so that they're, to vary the terms of the aldermen and elected officials? Alternating the terms so that we don't have everybody being elected at once?
I know we discussed that at one point. I don't know if you, as city attorney, have anything you can add right now.
We've circulated a memo before previously. We can recirculate that, update it and recirculate that. Perhaps it'll be a little bit more, have all the information, and if you have questions based on that, we can talk at the next meeting perhaps.
Okay.
Wasn't that something that had to go by referendum?
Correct, it is. There's a,
We
there's a
can't just
petition
change it.
process.
Yes, there's a petition process, so it can be
Right.
done via referendum. So what we'll do is, I'll update that previous memo, because I think we did that before the last election. We'll insert this one with the required dates and the updated dates for this upcoming election.
Okay, that'd be great, thank you.
I think we are getting up close to the deadlines for referendum questions at this time, though, so.
Okay, that'd be great, thank you.
All right, thank you. That brings us to the approval of warrants. Deputy Clerk Schulteis?
Thank you. We have a total of $1,450,755. Wire payments, we have 8/12/22 payroll of $169,645.68 for a total warrant of $1,620,420.68.
And could I have a motion to approve as presented?
So
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Does anyone have any comments or corrections? There being none, could I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Cameron?
Aye.
Alderman Ludvixson?
Aye.
Alderman Morgan Adams?
Aye.
Alderman Dash?
Aye.
Mayor Dolick?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Public comments on non-agenda matters. Do we have anyone registered or anyone who wishes to speak? There being none, I believe we do not have executive session this evening. That brings us to adjournment. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.